Again, the dude who covers crime and criminal networks is actually a part of one and doing the crime himself. So
you're just essentially kind of exposing yourself. And were you a true gangster? Or do they have some type of no snitching law over there? Because you're basically snitching.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Macho back at another video. Today we're be reacting to a video by Atozy. The video is going to be on TikToker who exposed gangs sentenced to life in prison. It's a crazy spiral turnaround to, like, you know, people that end up always exposing, you know, crime end up doing crazy crime. I don't know what this involves, but I guess he was probably one of those type of people that, you know, expose gangs and expose like a lot of criminal shit and then end up, you know, doing criminal shit. Oh shit. End up doing criminal shit himself. But no further notice, let's just get into it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Let's get it.
this TikToker just got sentenced to life in prison after building his whole career around exposing gang crime because, as it turns out, he wasn't just reporting on the game crime, he was in it. And what happened is that his crew ended up blowing up the wrong house.
These 3 men are now sentenced to prison for the bombing in Tumba. A mother lost both her legs and her 4-year-old daughter was seriously injured when a hand grenade was thrown into their bedroom in April of last year. The attack was actually...
What the fuck? A fucking hand grenade blew off her... Yo. Yeah, this nigga deserves a prison sentence. I thought it was gonna be some type of little small ass crime that he's just got arrested for, but like I keep forgetting this is Atozy. He's gonna be reporting this shit for some reason. But Jesus Christ, yeah, he deserves to be in prison for that. Oh, I feel so bad for them.
Aimed at a neighbor who had a drug debt, according to the prosecutor.
That is definitely not something you hear from a TikToker every day, but this one is out of Sweden. And if you're not from Sweden, this might come as a massive surprise to you. Because when you think gang violence and grenades, it's safe to say that Sweden probably isn't the first place that comes to mind. Well, unfortunately, it seems like this has been a huge ongoing problem there for years now. And we'll circle back to that, but for now, meet Joseph Said, who's 30 years old and he ran a TikTok account called Foxy Spy. He had a whole bunch of social media profiles, but a bunch of them have been deleted. But he built an audience by covering criminal gangs, which is basically just true crime commentary, but hyper-local, and specifically about the gang wars that are happening in his own country. And he positioned himself kind of as the guy who knew what was going on behind the headlines, except...
a sheep in a wolf's clothing literally was just like in the middle of everything while putting on a mask and being like, yeah, bro. Yeah, they don't know I'm truly a part of this. I'm just making money. I'm just reporting on these. He probably was one of the ones exposing, you know, the gang rivals and probably giving away what they've been doing in the streets and depicting the other gang as bad members. He probably said nothing about his gang though.
As it turns out, he didn't just know what was going on, he was apparently a part of it. So prosecutors say that Joseph wasn't just reporting on the criminal underworld from the outside looking in. He was embedded in it. And that's about to become extremely relevant. So according to prosecutors, this all traces back to an illegal deal that fell through. And the people on the buying end of that deal, I guess, were going to be punished for it. And by punished, I mean someone in Joseph's group decided the appropriate response to this bad illegal deal was a hand grenade. Yeah, that's totally not escalating things whatsoever. So the plan, as the prosecutors laid out, was to hit a house belonging to the people who'd been fined over the failed deal. And someone was apparently tasked with actually carrying out the attack. And that's where everything went sideways, because their target ended up being the wrong house, because the grenade was apparently thrown at a home where a mother and her young daughter were sleeping. Not the people they were intending to hit, just the neighboring house. And the explosion,
low-key, even if you like, well, depending on how violent a gang is or what type of idea they come up with, I low-key would just be like, what happened to just intimidation? What happened to just beating niggas' asses back in the day? I'd rather get beat up than a fucking hand grenade thrown at me. Ugh. And unfortunately, this ended up hitting a little girl and her mother. Yeah, I hope they put this nigga away for a long time.
The explosion was devastating. The mother's injuries were so severe that she ultimately lost both of her legs, and her daughter was also severely hurt.
I woke up to a bang, and then I got smoke from the fire into the vent leading to the bedroom. So I turned on the light and get up, and here the neighbor went over to check what it was and such, and I saw the fire truck. It's terrible that this happens in this calm, nice area where I've lived for 41 years. It feels very strange. The neighbor across saw this then. She got the smoke in her place, so she ran over and helped with the child there, and she told me this morning.
It seems to be a woman and her daughter who have been affected.
What are your thoughts about it? It's terrible that it happens, and maybe there are innocent people too. I think that's the worst part.
And just to be clear on their mistake as well, and just how careless all of this wasn't even a mix-up between like two different neighborhoods or some address typo or something like that. No, it was the house right next door to the one they were trying to hit. So according to court documents, the day
What type of shitty mistake was that? How do you get so close to just like doing the deed and then you hit a house next to it? That's like a dumbass mistake, bro. That's like the most dipshit mistake I ever heard in the book. One of the most unsmart gang enterprises ever. Like, come on, if you go get back, at least get back at the right people in the right house. So like, was it just thrown wrong, or just like, did it slip or something, or did you just target the wrong? You just end up targeting the wrong house, bro.
after the explosion, Joseph Saeed, the TikToker who covers the criminal gangs, sent a message asking essentially how the attack could have possibly hit the wrong house. And that message ends up being a pretty big deal for the case because it basically, confirmed in his own words that he knew about the operation and he expected a specific outcome that didn't happen. That was essentially the detail investigators needed so they could stop speculating of, maybe he was involved. So yeah, because of that message, essentially prosecutors knew exactly what that was supposed to be. But to make things even worse, this wasn't even the only attack connected to him either, because authorities also tied Joseph to a separate attack in Cetra, which also factored into his whole overall sentencing. So again, the dude who covers crime and criminal networks is actually a part of one and doing the crime himself. So I guess he really did have authority on what he was talking about on his channel.
Jesus Christ. I kind of like I seen a split of these occasions actually happening, but not in a really long ass time. There's always police informants, there's always informants in general on the good side of the law, but I have never seen somebody reporting crimes reporting crimes on TikTok, especially, and being a part of the stuff that's happening. You're just essentially kind of exposing yourself, and were you a true gangster? Or do they have some type of no snitching law over there? Because you're basically snitching.
Channels, but regardless, once everything went to trial, it came out that Joseph hadn't actually thrown the grenade himself. He was out of the country when the attack happened, and the case against him was built around him being the one who ordered it. And for organizing that attack, combined with the Cetra case, he was sentenced to life in prison. And on top of that, he was not the only one facing consequences in total, because 5 men were sentenced in connection to all these attacks as well. So you have Philip Persson, who was 34. He was the guy who actually threw the grenade into the apartment, and he ended up being the one who confessed to it. He got 13 years and 10 months for 4 counts of attempting to take someone's life, alongside of serious public destruction and serious unlawful threats charges. Then you have Jalal Issa, also 30. He was the one who recruited Persson for the job. He drove him to and from the location and booked and paid for his taxi. He received 11 years and 10 months for aiding and abetting serious public destruction and serious unlawful threats. Then you had a 16-year-old boy who was also convicted of walking Persson through how to actually use the grenade. So you have a
16-year-old telling you how to use a grenade? What the fuck, did he just watch a YouTube video? So you basically pull the pin and then you launch it. You have a 3-second window time. Like, bro, this is like this is so stupid. Why do you need a 16-year-old to tell you how to use a grenade? Oh my God. I'm not saying every criminal or anybody should just like randomly know how to use a grenade, but at least do the research yourself. But it's just the fact that you have a teenager talking you through how to use something, especially a fucking live grenade. Oh man. I didn't even think the story could get any worse until I saw this.
16-year-old teaching a 34-year-old man how to throw a nade? And apparently he did all this over a video call because he was already serving a sentence in a closed youth care facility for a separate bombing. Dude.
And it gets worse. He's FaceTiming the nigga. Yeah. Just pull the pin off the grenade. What the fuck is this, man? What is the world? What is the world at all, bro?
And that apparently only
shit.
resulted an extra 4 months on top of his sentence. So, I mean, that is just crazy, the amount of privilege you get for just being a minor, even though you're teaching other people how to throw grenades into homes. Okay, but on top of those 4, a man who was already serving time for an unrelated weapons offense was also convicted of handing over the grenade that ended up being used in this attack. So he got an additional year and 4 months for all that. And then finally, there was one other person connected to the case, separate from those 5. He was acquitted entirely on the conspiracy and accessory charges against him. And I guess since Joseph had already reportedly been out of the country for a stretch before all this caught up with him, he was finally arrested back in December after spending time abroad. And as for the family who actually lived through this, their lawyer gave a statement afterwards saying, according to him, the family had hoped for harsher punishments across the board, ideally with everyone involved being convicted rather than just some of them. But overall, he said that they're largely satisfied with how the case turned out. Still though, I mean, satisfied or not, that does not undo what happened. I mean, this is an awful tragedy. Imagine just minding your own business in a house and then a grenade comes through. Like, that is not something.
Yeah, they said she was asleep too. Just imagine waking up to that, bro. That is horrible, bro. Just imagine you just like sleeping there and like something's thrown through the window and you just hear an explosion and then you look down and you're in pain and your legs is just like, oh man, good God, bro. First thing you just gotta worry about is your kid, bro. Honestly, and I know you were hurt, but like I would be worrying about the kid, especially your 4-year-old. That is just such a damn bad tragedy, bro. I'm glad they got life. I'm glad that guy got life for this because he ordered the fucking hit. Yeah, this story's just stupid all across the board.
That you would expect in a first world country. But the attorney also made a point of noting that the family is still dealing with lasting physical and psychological trauma from all of this, which obviously makes a whole lot of sense. But apparently Sweden has been genuinely dealing with a huge wave of grenade and explosive related incidents since around 2018, and it's hit both low income and wealthier neighborhoods. And apparently a lot of the grenades that are being used in these attacks, including the specific model involved in a chunk of these cases, trace back to leftover stock from the Yugoslav wars back in the 90s, which have apparently been circulating through the black markets for a few decades now. So unfortunately, when you just put this specific case into this broader context, it stops being some isolated freak event and just another incident that happened in a pattern of similar incidents.
So it's just basically easy to get your hand on a fucking grenade nowadays. And, nigga, it's hard to get your hand on a fucking grenade in the US, bro. You got to go through so many damn regulations to even get that. You're not even walking out of some sort of facility with that shit, especially like buying that shit. You gotta have some type of clearance or something, because if you're gonna be walking around within some sort of explosion, nigga, you better be fucking ready to sign a lot of fucking paperwork, and the police are keeping an eye on you.
So going back to the actual point of this video, the part that makes it all stand out from normal gang violence is obviously the fact that Joseph was doing all of this while running a platform built around covering this exact world. Because it's one thing to just build a following reporting on gang conflicts that you're watching from the outside, and it's completely different that you're allegedly helping orchestrate the next chapter of that same conflict while your followers are watching a TikTok of you talking about the last thing that happened. I mean, this is just crazy. And I guess to be fair, like, we don't know exactly how much of his content overlapped with his alleged activity because all of his stuff seems to be wiped, at least from what I can tell. So I don't know if this was a way for him to make money or if this was used to send messages to rival gangs or something like that. That's not something that's been confirmed, so I'm not going to speculate beyond what's actually been reported. I'm just discussing on how insane this whole situation is. But I guess that's how a TikToker ended up getting life in prison. So if you're new here,
Jesus Christ, bro, that was an insane ass story, bro. God, not only, bro, this whole story was just kept taking me on like a damn like fucking crazy ass loop every time. Like, you got the 16-year-old telling a 34-year-old man how to use a grenade, not only over fucking FaceTime, while he's in a fucking youth jail, basically. What the fuck, bro? And then you got the horrible thing overall of a grenade being thrown inside a home, the wrong home, which was next door. Bro, how do you get that shit that wrong? I mean, now I kind of get it because he's dumb, because he had a 16-year-old telling him how to use a grenade. So now I know why he mistakenly got that shit wrong of throwing it in the next house. And honestly, the whole thing overall, and this guy was just like, oh, like I said, a wolf in sheep's clothing, bro. It's just crazy how, like, you can't even trust the niggas reporting on crime nowadays. Like he said, it may have been a message to the gang members or something, but like I said earlier, wouldn't this be technically snitching and snitching crime? Wouldn't you not be a gangster? Or does like other countries have like some sort of different ass type of thing going on? Because in the US, most gangs, that will be labeled as like snitching or something, and you're kind of, even if you're kind of like some sort of hardcore gangster or something, bro, you're reporting crimes of other people. And yeah, like I said, this story was overall crazy. Let me know what type of thing took you for a loop, because one thing that took me for the loop was a 16-year-old telling the 34-year-old how to use a goddamn grenade. Oh Jesus, man. I'm gonna be praying for that family. I hope they're all right, man, because this is a traumatic ass thing. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Go check out Atozi's original video if you want to watch that alone. We're on the road to I think 900 now, man. We almost at 1K subscribers, so sub up if you enjoy the reactions or anything else on my channel. Don't forget to leave a like, and catch you guys in the next video.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?